President.
Senator from Utah.
Mr. President, later today, the Senate will once again have an opportunity to vote on whether or not to renew Trade Promotion Authority. The Senate has already considered this issue once, and the House has voted on it twice, each time demonstrating strong bipartisan support for TPA. My hope is that we can get to a similar result with today's vote in the Senate. We need to be clear about what is at stake. The United States is currently negotiating a number of trade agreements with some of our most important trading partners in the world. If the Senate fails to approve this bill, neither Congress nor the American people will have a strong voice during these negotiations. As a result, our nation will not be able to get the best trade agreements possible if we are able to advance any trade agreements at all, if we are unable to advance any trade agreements at all. Some people, including some of our colleagues, may be fine with that result. They don't think we need trade agreements to promote a healthy economy. But, Mr. President, nothing could be further from the truth. As we all know, most of the world's consumers live outside of our borders, 95% of them. In addition, the vast majority of economic growth in the world is likely to occur outside of the United States over the next decade if our workers, farmers, ranchers, and service providers are going to be able to compete in these growing markets. We must have open access to these markets and fair trade rules to boot. Without strong trade agreements, neither of these is possible. When it comes to international trade, we cannot stand still. If we don't lead and set the rules of the game, other nations will, and our economy will be left behind. The United States continues to be a leader in agricultural exports throughout the world. In fact, we still export more agricultural goods than any other country. In addition, the United States continues to boast an enormous manufacturing base that supplies consumers in every corner of the globe. We also lead the world in technology, digital services, and innovation. Indeed, not only do we lead the world in creation of intellectual property, America essentially created the modern digital landscape. The U.S. also continues to lead in trade and services, exporting more than $700 billion in services in 2014 alone. That is more than twice as much as the United Kingdom, the world's second highest services exporter. I ask unanimous consent that the parliamentarian let me know when my 10 minutes have expired.
The senator will be so notified.
In other words, we know we can compete on the world stage when the rules are fair and the playing field is level. That is why I am such a strong proponent of this TPA legislation. This bill, which is the product of a great deal of work and a lot of bipartisan cooperation, will have a powerful and positive impact on industries throughout our economy, on consumers, and of course on American workers as well. Mr. President, in an America that embraces international trade, I believe even those individuals who encounter temporary setbacks can find new opportunities, can outwork, outproduce, outthink, and out-innovate our global competition, so long as the groundwork has been laid to give them those opportunities. That is why we need strong trade agreements, and that is why we need TPA. Mr. President, as you can surely tell, I feel very passionately about free trade. And I know that many of my colleagues are just as passionate in their opposition. But as Congress has considered this legislation, I think we've had a full and fair debate on these issues. We've been transparent on the substance of the bill and in the way things have moved forward. And both sides have been able to make their case to the American people. It is at times like these when working in Congress is the most rewarding. We have the opportunity to hear so many different accounts, sift through mountains of data and research, meet with hundreds of interested parties representing thousands of our constituents, and work through hotly contested differences. Then, after all of that work, when circumstances are right, we're able to come up with bipartisan legislation that addresses the needs of our country, our constituents, and our economy. That's what we've been able to do with this TPA debate, Mr. President, which is a debate that has been going on for many years now. I still want to work with those who may not share all of my views on all of these issues. One way we've agreed to do that is to help ensure that Trade Adjustment Assistance, or TAA, will be extended. As you know, TAA has been included in the Trade Preferences Bill that the Senate will hopefully vote on later this week after we pass TPA. I've said it many times, I'm not a fan of TAA. Personally, I think the program is redundant and ineffective. However, after 38 years here in the Senate, believe me, I'm well aware that everything is not about me. I understand that TAA is a priority for a number of my colleagues and that it continues to be the price of admission for many who want to support TPA. The Senate Majority Leader recognizes this as well, which is why he is committed to ensuring that TAA gets a fair vote here in the Senate and fair opportunity to pass. Throughout this process, we've done all we can within reason to accommodate the concerns of senators. I am very appreciative of all the support we've received from members on both sides of the aisle. We couldn't have gotten this far without that support. Now it is time to finish the work, to pass this bill and get it to the President's desk. We need this bill to ensure that our constituents' voices are heard in the trade negotiating process. We need this bill to give our trade negotiators the tools they need to get a good deal. And we need this bill to expand access to foreign markets so that we can grow our economy and create good, high-paying jobs here at home. That, Mr. President, is what this bill is all about and why we've been working on this process for so long. We're very close to the finish line, Mr. President. We need just one more burst of energy and a few more steps to get us there. I urge all of my colleagues who support free trade, open markets, and the advancement of American values and interests abroad to join me once again in supporting TPA and working with me and with my colleague, Senator Wyden, to get all the pending trade bill passed in the Senate and signed into law. With that, I yield the floor.